Have you ever noticed how often emotions dictate your life? Think about it. How many times have you skipped the gym just because you didn't feel like it? How many times have you stayed in bed pressing snooze because you weren't in the mood to get up? How many opportunities have slipped through your hands because you were afraid, anxious, or simply not in the mood? This is the trap of emotions. They feel real, they feel powerful, and in the moment, they feel like the ultimate truth. But here's the problem. Emotions are temporary. They rise and fall like waves. Yet when we make decisions based on them, those decisions leave permanent consequences. Let's be honest, most of us let emotions run the show. Stress, anxiety, fear, insecurity, even boredom. All of these shape our choices far more than we admit. Science backs this up. When we're stressed, our brains release cortisol, the stress hormone, which hijacks the part of the brain responsible for logic and decision-making. That's why in moments of stress, we snap at loved ones, quit too early, or make impulsive choices we regret later. And it's not just stress. Low self-esteem makes us vulnerable to anger, sadness, and worry. Past trauma amplifies emotional reactions. Depression and anxiety disorders make emotions swing like a wrecking ball. Even substances, alcohol, drugs, or just too much caffeine throw fuel on the emotional fire. And of course, toxic environments, constant conflict at home or at work make it nearly impossible to think clearly. The truth is simple. If you live by emotions, you will live a life of chaos. Why? Because emotions are inconsistent. One day they tell you, yes, you can do this. The next day, the very same goal feels impossible. If you live according to that roller coaster, you'll never get anywhere. Here's the real danger. Emotions lie. That inner voice in your head, the one that says you're too tired, too weak, not ready, that voice is wrong. Studies show that 85% of our internal self-talk is negative. 85%! Imagine if 85% of the advice from your best friend was toxic. You'd stop listening. Yet for some reason, we accept it from ourselves. You've felt this before. I'm too tired to work out. But in reality, your body had energy, you just let your feelings win. I'll never be good enough. Yet you've accomplished things before. You've proven yourself wrong. I'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. That's the trap. The conversation in your head convinces you to delay, to doubt, to stop. And here's where life separates winners from everyone else. Winners feel the same fear, the same doubt, the same laziness. But instead of obeying emotions, they follow a plan. They show up anyway. They do the work despite the mood. Think about elite athletes. Do you believe they always feel like training at 5 a.m.? Number. They train because the plan says so. Navy SEALs don't wait until they feel ready to push their limits. Entrepreneurs don't build businesses only on days they feel motivated. They all know the truth. If you follow your emotions, you'll never reach excellence. Life is a battlefield between emotion and discipline. Every morning, when your alarm goes off, that battle begins. And the question is, who wins today, your fleeting feelings or your long-term plan? Because here's the truth. Discipline creates freedom, but emotions create chains. When you let emotions decide, you give up control. When you let a plan decide, you take your power back. Now let's pause here, because I want you to feel this deeply. Every time you say you'll do something and you don't, you weaken trust in yourself. You teach your brain not to believe you. But every time you follow through, no matter how small, you build self-confidence. And that is the foundation of real strength. So let me ask you, how many times in your life have emotions stolen opportunities? How many moments of greatness never happened because feelings told you to stop? And how much longer will you allow emotions to dictate the direction of your life? Because here's the cold truth. If you let emotions run your life, you will never build the future you dream of. But the good news is this. There's a way out of the trap. And it begins with one word: planning. If emotions are the trap, then what is the escape? The answer is simple but powerful. A plan. A plan is your anchor when emotions try to pull you away. It's your map when the storm hits. It's the voice of reason when fear, laziness, or doubt screams the loudest. Without a plan, life becomes a game of chance. With a plan, you have direction, focus, and control. Let's be real. Most people drift through life. They wake up and just react to whatever the day throws at them. Emails, notifications, random tasks, sudden requests. They live in reaction mode. And when you live in reaction mode, guess what takes over? Emotions. Stress, frustration, impatience. But the people who win, the athletes, the leaders, the creators, they don't drift. They design. They plan. Why is planning so powerful? Because it creates clarity. Clarity is power. When you know exactly what needs to be done today, your brain focuses like a laser. Without clarity, your mind scatters energy across 100 distractions. Think about it. How many sleepless nights have you had, replaying everything you need to do tomorrow? But when you have a clear plan, you can rest. You know what matters. You know what can wait. Suddenly, the storm inside your head quiets down. And here's another secret. Planning builds creativity. Sounds strange, right? But when your brain knows the basics are organized, it frees space to imagine, to innovate, to create. Structure creates room for inspiration. But most importantly, planning creates discipline, and discipline equals freedom. When you stick to a plan, you are no longer a prisoner of emotions. You free yourself from the mood of the moment. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine you're sailing across the ocean. If you rely on the wind of emotions, you'll drift aimlessly. Some days the wind carries you forward, other days it pushes you backwards, and sometimes it leaves you stranded. But with a plan, a compass, a course, you can keep moving no matter the wind. The storms still come, but you stay on track. That is the power of planning. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I've tried planning before and it didn't work. I wrote to-do lists, I bought a planner, but I still failed. Here's the truth. The problem is not planning itself. The problem is not having a meaningful plan. Many people write endless tasks, but they're not tied to real goals. That's why they burn out. A real plan starts with purpose. Ask yourself, what do I truly want in the next 5 years? In the next year? This month? This week? Then break it down into daily actions. Suddenly, your plan is not just busy work, it's a step toward your vision. Let me give you a story. Years ago, I knew someone who was constantly stressed, always busy, always working hard. But at the end of the day, nothing meaningful was finished. Why? Because they did whatever emotions told them to do in the moment. Answer this message. Scroll through that feed. Start one project, drop it halfway, chase another. They felt busy, but they were lost. Then something changed. They started planning their days the night before. Just 10 minutes each evening, writing down the top 3 priorities for tomorrow. Within weeks, everything shifted. Stress dropped. Productivity soared. Opportunities opened up. Why? Because they no longer let emotions decide what to do. The plan decided. That's the beauty of a plan. It makes the decision for you before the emotions arrive. When your alarm rings at 6 a.m., emotions say, stay in bed. But your plan says, work out. When you face a hard task, emotions say, do it later. But your plan says, do it now. When fear whispers, don't take that chance, your plan says, step forward. A plan is your shield against procrastination. It's your weapon against fear. It's your reminder of who you want to become. And here's another layer. Every time you follow a plan, you prove to yourself that you are trustworthy. You said you'd do it, and you did it. That's how confidence grows. Not by waiting for motivation, not by reading affirmations, but by collecting evidence that you are a person who follows through. Think of the great achievers, whether in sports, business, or art. They didn't rely on moods, they relied on plans. Michael Jordan didn't train when he felt like it. He trained every day because the plan demanded it. Navy SEALs don't wait until they feel ready. Their plans dictate action regardless of emotion. Writers, musicians, entrepreneurs, they all keep going because the plan tells them to, even when feelings scream no. This is the lesson. If you want freedom, joy, and success, stop relying on emotion. Build a plan. Follow the plan. Trust the plan. Because the truth is emotions come and go, but results remain. And that brings us to the next step. How do you actually live this way? How do you shift from an emotion-driven life to a purpose-driven, plan-led life? That's where strategies come in. The daily habits, the mental frameworks, the systems that keep you on track no matter what emotions show up. And that's what we'll explore in part 3, living a life beyond emotions. So now the question is this: how do we actually live beyond emotions? How do we take control of our days, our choices, our future, so that our lives are guided by purpose and not moods? The answer is simple in theory, but powerful in practice. You need a system, a set of habits, principles, and strategies that protect you from emotional sabotage. Let's break it down. _1. Accept your emotions, but don't obey them. The first step isn't to suppress your emotions. That never works. Bottling up anger, fear, or sadness only makes them explode later. Instead, accept them. Say to yourself, I feel tired, I feel afraid, I feel lazy, and that's okay. But then remind yourself, these emotions are temporary. My plan is permanent. You don't need to fight emotions, you just need to stop giving them the steering wheel. _2. Pause before reacting. When emotions rise, the worst thing you can do is react instantly. That's when words are spoken you can't take back, and decisions are made you'll regret. Instead, create space, breathe, count to 10, step outside. This pause is the gap where logic can return. And in that gap, you can choose discipline over impulse. _3. Stay calm under pressure. Life will test you. Stress, anger, anxiety, they're unavoidable. But calm is your superpower. Whether it's deep breathing, meditation, or a quick walk, find your reset button. Because calmness is not weakness, it's control. And control is strength. _4. Train your mind to focus on the positive. Emotions feed on what you focus on. Focus on problems, and fear grows. Focus on gratitude, and strength grows. That's why writing down what you're thankful for every day is so powerful. Gratitude isn't just a feel-good exercise, it's mental armor. _5. Let go of hate and resentment. Carrying hate is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Resentment eats away at your peace, your energy, your clarity. Forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. _6. Release emotions in healthy ways. Don't let negative feelings pile up. Channel them. Write them down. Talk to someone you trust. Exercise. Create art. Push iron at the gym. Scream into a pillow if you must. But never let emotions rot inside you. _7. Stay busy with meaningful work. Idle hands give emotions too much room to play. That's why staying engaged, whether it's learning, creating, serving, or training, is so crucial. Fill your time with purpose, and emotions lose their grip. _8. Replace negative thoughts with empowering ones. Every time you hear that inner voice say, I can't, challenge it. Replace it with, I will try, and I will grow. Thoughts shape reality. And when you change your inner language, you change your life. _. Now, let's connect this with planning. Because principles mean nothing without execution. Here's a practical system anyone can follow. 1. Plan every night. Spend 5-10 minutes before bed writing down tomorrow's top 3 priorities too. Prioritize one key task. No matter what happens, get that one thing done. That single act builds momentum. 3. Use time blocks or Pomodoro. Work in focused sprints. 40 minutes on, 10 minutes off. This keeps you consistent even when emotions want to quit. 4. Reflect daily. At night, ask yourself, what did I do well? What can I improve? Reflection transforms actions into progress. Do this consistently, and something incredible happens. your life shifts. Emotions still appear, but they lose their power. Why? Because your plan already made the decision for you. Underscore. Let's be clear. Living beyond emotions doesn't mean you'll never feel lazy, angry, or afraid again. You will. We all do. The difference is you won't let those feelings dictate your future. This is the mindset of champions. Champions don't wait for motivation. They act according to plan. Champions don't let fear stop them. They step forward anyway. Champions don't obey emotions. They command them. And you can too. The next time your emotions whisper, "Not today," look at your plan and do it anyway. When fear says you can't, your plan will say you must. When doubt says give up, your plan will say keep going. Because at the end of the day, emotions fade, but results remain. Underscore. So here's my challenge for you. Tonight, before you go to bed, write your plan for tomorrow. Just one page. Just 3 priorities. And then, when emotions try to distract you, ignore them. Follow the plan. Do this for a week, then 2 weeks, then a month. And soon, you'll realize something life-changing. You are no longer a slave to emotions. You are the master of your life. Remember this. You don't need permission from your feelings to chase your dreams. You need a plan, discipline, and the courage to follow through. Emotions are temporary. Plans are permanent. And discipline? Discipline is freedom.